Hello, everybody, and welcome to Norm, the Cheers podcast that isn't. Welcome
Happened quick this week.
to the Let's Get Through It episode of Norm. It is, we're all tired. Weird things are happening in all of our homes. None of us care about this episode very much. It's the week of Christmas. Welcome to the first 12-minute episode of Norm.
We're taking the same approach to this episode that the NFL is taking to the coronavirus, which is just to say, push on through and hope for the best.
If no one checks on your well-being, that means you're fine.
Oh, what? That's how that works now?
So the NFL is basically saying, if you're not symptomatic, we're not testing you. They're basically trying to avoid positive tests as much as they can. Because they don't want to know.
Okay.
And honest to God, I don't even know if they're right or not.
Don't ask, don't tell is not, historically not.
So they're saying it for people
True.
who are vaccinated and boosted. So essentially the argument that, and the union is on board with this as well, like the players are getting pissed off, which is, look, I'm vaccinated, I am boosted. If I am not showing any symptoms, then I should not be banned from it. It's like the fact that a little bit of the virus might be living in me, like the tests aren't good enough for you to say whether it's reactive or not, whether I could communicate it to somebody else. We're outdoors. Everybody's supposed to get boosted. And if that asshole decided not to get boosted, it shouldn't be up to me to get a swab up my nose every day to detect a tiny little bit of it because he couldn't bother to get vaccinated. And I think there's an argument there.
This feels very pointed at Cam Newton.
Cam got vaccinated. Cam got it. Cam got the shots.
Thank God.
Cam Newton is, I love him like a family member who I'm tired of programming the VCR for. I'm just, if that makes any sense.
Yes. No, total sense. Total sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Like, dude, I love
wonderful.
you so much. What the fuck? What the fuck is happening here? Every time I watch him, I'm like, oh, God damn it. Again? Yeah. Yeah. It's weird. I feel very connected to a guy who only played for my team for 1 year. And I still, like, I follow him on Twitter and I'm checking on him and I'm hoping he's okay and I'm rooting for him. And I know it's not going to work out, but still.
He is the not to open up another giant can of worms, but like just in terms of connection to the public, he's the anti-Kyrie in so many ways. Like I want good things for Cam Newton. I'm thrilled when Cam Newton is in my life, even when he irritates me with his sort of occasionally, I think like kind of like not well thought out public stances on things. I'm always like I think he's really interesting. I think he's really I admire the fact that at least he tries to sort of like hash out his thinking in very clear terms, and like I don't feel like there's any motive beyond like sort of like him wanting to be Cam Newton. I don't know. I'm weirdly pro Cam Newton. I'm in Mike's camp on this.
Yeah.
I get it.
I am personally extraordinary. Hi, Trevor. I'm personally extraordinarily fond of Cam Newton.
He says hi.
Thank you. And Cam Newton is also an interesting case study in terms of my thoughts of professional athletes who hang on too long. Just because I worry that the last couple of years of an athlete's career where they hang on too long besmirch the rest of their careers. Like, you know, I mean, I feel bad that people are going to remember these last couple of Cam Newton years so much and not remember what an unstoppable force he was in his prime. He was incredible. But it's also, that's what I mean when I get confused about it, because it's also not up to me to tell Cam Newton not to bring every last bit of football joy he can get. Because when you're done, you're done. There's no old timers football game.
Okay, then what do we say of the Jordan era with the Wizards?
That's right. That's a perfect example. The Jordan era with the Wizards. Willie Mays on the Mets.
Yeah. And then,
I mean, people talk about it all the time and say, what are you doing? But isn't that just us saying protect our memories and sacrifice what you want to do so that I remember you exactly the way I want to.
And then how do we feel about Brady in Tampa? He seems.
I mean, he's fucking winning. I mean, yeah, there's no
He's a
argument there.
weird exception.
There's never been anything like Tom Brady in the history of humanity.
Yeah. Yeah. Which supports my theory that he's also an alien.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's probably the most likely. Or some sort of nanobot construct. Like something's up.
Yeah.
If you ever wonder how illogical we are as a species, like Tom Brady is potentially giving us all this blueprint to be like, hey, aging doesn't have to happen the way that you think it did. I'm 45. I'm faster than I was when I was 23. I look like I'm 25. I'm doing everything right. I'm still crushing it. I'm not in pain. And we're all like, yeah, look at this idiot eating avocado ice cream. It's like we are so committed to our unhealthy life choices that there's this guy providing really solid proof of the way we should be doing it. And we're all like, get a load of that jackass.
Well, okay. He got the unproblematic Paul Rudd surgery, I think. To still look like that. Although I will say Paul Rudd is also proof that like not being racist is really great for your skin. Kellyanne Conway is 38, okay? Mm-hmm. So
she's not 38.
Well, whatever. Still.
we traffic in facts, Tookie Kavanaugh.
Still. I'm just saying, like, you know, being an ally is good for you. And I think
absolutely true.
Because Tom dissociated himself to a certain extent from someone who never deserved to be president. I think it sort of helped his skincare routine.
It helped. All right. Should we talk about Cheers?
Sure.
Can you tell we don't care about this episode very much this week?
My notes, I have like 9 words written down for notes for this episode.
I have nothing. I was literally taking notes on my phone and I was going to print out my notes and I'm like, this doesn't deserve paper.
Oh.
I don't even dislike it that much. I was just like, I watched it last week and I literally could not remember what I watched until I rewatched it last night.
You know what this episode gave me? Because there were a lot of rehashed jokes. Mm-hmm. It was giving me a lot of, remember elementary school lunches and they said this is American chop suey?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this is this episode to me.
Yeah.
It's palatable, but it's
American chop suey. Where are we at with that term?
I hope it dies. It's a relic of the 90s, and I hope it stays there.
That's what we called it. Certainly, it's at school. I've adopted.
Was what we called it in the 80s.
Yeah. I made it a couple of times for my family, and even made a vegetarian version with the fake meat. Okay. But I forget what there's a far less national or weirdly kind of like offensive term for it now, which it's like tomato mash or something. Like it's less. It was a gross name. But it's a right down the middle like description of what it is.
There's tomatoes in yours? Because anytime my parents were so, I don't know, offended somehow by what they had seen that it was never something that we ever recreated in our own home. But anytime they served it at school lunch, it was like elbow macaroni, hamburger meat.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know what else.
I gotta say, okay, so a couple of things about American chop suey. One, still love it.
Really?
I loved it then. I enjoy it now. Yes. We call it matsui in our house, which is something that came from my wife in her household. So at some point, they instead of American chop suey, they started calling it Hideki Matsui, and then it just became Matsui, who's a Japanese baseball player.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so that became it. And I feel like at some point I wanted to ask, like, you know, the fact that he is a Japanese baseball player and chop suey is Chinese, does that matter? And 12 years in, I have not had the guts to ask my Asian American wife that question. So at some point it'll probably come up. But yeah, interestingly, our food stuff, we are fine with being completely insensitive like to my culture, for anything that we cook, like I regularly make white trash casserole and enjoy it very, very much.
What is in that?
What is in that? A tater tot casserole. So it's tater tots, cream of chicken soup. You can use cream of mushroom, but I need to be gluten free, so I use the cream of chicken. Ground beef, corn. You stir that all together. You bake it. You throw some cheese on top, and you got your white trash casserole.
See, I mean, even
it's
that,
hearty.
I'm not mad at the so-called American chop suey in your households or that, because what I was served was this episode of Cheers, but in food equivalent. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Something that you avoid.
Recipes, I'm like, this actually sounds like I could eat it and not hate myself after.
Isn't that all we're looking for from food?
And Cheers, frankly.
Yes.
Sometimes.
All right, let's get this over with. Dave, what was happening when this episode happened on the world?
This premiered on February 7th, 1985.
It's a middle of winter episode, isn't it?
Really is. It's a hardcore February in New England episode.
We're getting ready for the wrap up of this season, but we're not quite there.
Yeah. One thing I found, which I could not verify, but I couldn't tear myself away from this thing. I found a website that declared that on this date, oh hey May, on this date,
Trees.
that New York City adopted officially New York, New York, the theme for the musical, as its official city anthem. And I was like, oh, that's cool. Fast forward me like Googling for an hour this morning. I could not find any official documentation that this has actually happened, let alone like pinning an actual date on it being named the anthem of the city. But I was like, you know what? Considering the fact that New York, like last year at this time, was singing the song every night to like salute healthcare workers. Maybe if it's not the official anthem of New York City, maybe it should be. Weird tie-in. The day before this episode got married, Scorsese, who directed New York, who directed the film that featured New York, New York, got married. I don't know. It seems the universe seems to want us to talk about New York, New York, a song which BT Dubs makes my skin crawl. Just because of the weird Yankee associated trauma that I carry with it, but maybe that it's the universe telling me to rehabilitate myself in order to welcome the song back if it's going to be used as some sort of recognition for people doing better work than me during these trying times. So maybe this was the day that New York, New York was named the official city anthem.
All right, what show is that from?
What's it from? It's from New York, New York. Same film, the same name. Of course, originally performed by Liza. Kander and Ebb wrote it. Kander and Ebb said that actually De Niro complained about their original song that they brought to the table, and they went away and 45 minutes later came up with this one as a replacement. So
De
I guess
Niro
we
was
can.
in a musical?
De Niro's in New York, New York. Yeah, I don't know if he sings. I've never seen it, but he is in that movie with Liza.
Wow.
I learned pretty late in the game never to underestimate the versatility of De Niro. When I saw him acting alongside some Muppets in the Joker movie. Brilliant.
God, I hate that movie.
I couldn't bring myself to watch it.
I hated it so much. I dragged myself to the theater back when we had movie theaters, and I can't believe I got through the whole thing.
Yeah.
I just sat there going, I don't know why this is a movie. I don't know why I'm supposed to care about this. Like, it really felt like we just made this movie to get Joaquin Phoenix an Oscar. We really felt like he deserved one. And that's why we're making this movie. I found nothing joyful about it. I found nothing interesting about it. Like, every time they tried for a twist, I was like, yeah, I knew. There's nothing there. I hated that movie.
This is a refreshing take, honestly, because I've had to sit through, especially comics.
Ugh.
Fellow comics just, oh, the Joker is about how we're mistreated. On what planet?
The Joker is a movie about how you're making everyone else's life better and making yours worse, and you're making yourself the victim in that story.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I couldn't get on board.
No, I'm holding out for the Penguin movie. When that happens, I'll be back on board.
So I saw Spider-Man, amazing, and yes, I did. And the trailer for the new Batman movie is out, and it makes Blade Runner look like Frozen.
Is this the Bat?
The Matt Reeves thing.
The one with
Robert
Edward from Twilight?
Yes.
Okay.
And it's just every fucking time. It's like, we got to make it darker. We got to make it grittier. It's like, Jesus Christ. I'm not saying you got to do the Adam West TV show, but good Lord. Like, what kind of hellscape do you want me sitting through for what? What is this one going to be? 3.5 hours?
It's not that I'm obviously not the kind of person who would espouse or support any sort of toxic masculinity, but I don't know. Robert Pattinson he's a doughy soft boy, and I'd rather not see him be billionaire playboy Bruce Wayne.
Yeah.
He needs to go sparkle in a corner somewhere.
Yeah.
You are on a call with two of New England's finest DSBs.
I'm just saying. I don't want to see, you know what I mean? Like, I don't want to see a reformed vampire fight crime.
I just can't get past how, because Dave and I are old enough to remember when the Tim Burton movies came out. And they were hugely successful, but one of the criticisms is, oof, Gotham is a dark, dark place. Oh man, what is it? Joy? Those movies look like episodes that you would see on Nickelodeon now, compared to the last couple of takes on the Batman universe.
Yeah, Batman Returns.
The Joker and the new Batman movie they practically look like snuff films. It's insane. I feel like you should be smuggling them out of the video store in a paper bag.
Batman Returns is a movie that starts with a child being dropped in a river.
Oh God!
And that movie is comparatively, it's comparatively a sitcom next to the recent takes on Batman.
It's like there's no in between with Batman movies. It's like either, like you said, a snuff film or bat nipples.
I thought the first couple of Nolan movies, obviously The Dark Knight, dark, but it's interesting. It's fun. There are scenes that are not shot in complete blackness. It's like I thought those balanced those worlds really well, and they were good narrative storytelling examples. And then The Dark Knight Returns was like, all right, we're losing it here a little bit, and Nolan's like, yep, you're right, we're done. And then they just kept going down, down, down. Batman the Animated Series might be the definitive take on Batman. Unbelievably fun.
Yeah.
And you've got the Joker being funny the whole goddamn time. It's great.
Mark Hamill, baby.
And they're pulling it all off. Yeah. Ugh. I'm sorry. You can take your Joaquin Phoenix. Mark Hamill is my Joker.
Are you really gonna just erase the whole legacy of Joel Schumacher's bat nipples?
I'm trying.
Okay.
Those movies are a fucking disaster. Awful. And I say this as someone who will go to my death saying Adam West deserved an Emmy for the original Batman series. That series knew what it was. They were committed to that universe. They played by the rules. It was hysterical. It was fun. I love those movies. I love that TV show. The Schumacher movies were commercials. Everyone was cashing a check. People were in different movies the whole time. Like Tommy Lee Jones had no idea what the character of Two-Face was. Jim Carrey, and I defend Jim Carrey quite a bit. I mean, had no commitment to any kind of reality whatsoever as the Joker or as the Riddler. They were both trying to be the Joker, and they were pissed off that Jack Nicholson got to do the Joker, so they got these other character names and made them their versions of the Joker, and it was terrible.
Do you defend Jim Carrey's turn as the Grinch?
It was fine for what it was.
Okay.
I mean, every Grinch since the original Grinch just didn't need to happen.
Okay.
The book is great.
I can't believe how many Grinches, how much, I didn't know I forget sometimes that we have like a Grinch cinematic universe.
Yeah. And every time it expands, you're like, I didn't need to know anything else about the Grinch. I had every bit of information I required.
Okay, but do you also agree with this piping hot take from Black Twitter that Whoville is essentially a sundown town?
Interesting. Wow. I mean, I'm not going to disagree with that. Because I cannot figure out a way for me to disagree with that is not wildly offensive. So even though I do agree with the concept, even if I didn't, I'd be like, oh, it's a great point.
I'm frantically
point, Black Twitter, where I spend much of my time.
I'm frantically Googling Sundown Town, and okay, yeah, I see what you're saying. Yep, okay.
Yeah, Sundown Town. So, like, oh, just when I'm afraid I'm too white, Dave comes in and saves the day.
I suddenly become incandescent.
Is that Emma Frost in the top left box?
Oh no.
All right. Okay. Oh, cold open. The cold open.
Good Lord.
Please.
This is how much we love this episode.
Yeah.
Okay. So we got, again, this is where I get my chop suey reference, because this is a rehashed joke. This is this is leftover salad. So apparently this guy's name is Larry, but he comes in. Larry comes up to Norm. Hey, any luck impregnating Vera? Which gross. And Norm, of course, scoffs and retches at the very, coffee hiccups idea. And he says, oh, I miss the good old days when people used to ask me about how about those Red Sox? Larry says, oh, excuse me for caring. And Norm says, sorry, Larry, I'm edgy. I've gone a month with sex. Bye, Norm. And then Cliff chimes in. He says, it's all right, Normie. Larry understands there, don't you? But you've been trying a few weeks now and yet to strike pay dirt. Can I ask you a personal question? Norm says, heaven forbid this conversation gets personal now. And Cliff says, well, you've been to a fertility specialist, yeah? And Norm says, yeah, but I don't have a lot of faith in him. This guy's got Vera sprinkling powdered rhino horn in my cereal in the morning. And Coach says, well, does it make you feel more virile? And Norm says, no, but every so often I get this urge to charge a Jeep. Roll credits.
It feels like a comic strip that you would have gotten around in a Bazooka Joe.
Mm-hmm.
That you got for a nickel.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you feel that coming. By the way, that is my 80s moment of the week. It's like right now it would be, oh my God, they poached that rhino? You're consuming the horn of a poached animal? Mm-hmm. That would not fly anymore.
No.
All right.
I will admit to like my ears perking up when Norm said sprinkling on my, and I was rapt to find out what the next word was going to be, and I was slightly delighted to find that they chose cereal, because I'm sure that wasn't the original line.
Oh, this is a Peter Gabriel moment all over again.
Oh, big time.
Oh God, what the was going on in the 80s?
Oh,
good Lord.
No,
his last name is Peterson.
You're right.
Oh. All right, we got an A story and a B story, and they don't matter, and nothing changes, and I don't know which is the A and which is the B. But here you go. This is an episode that was written at least half to hide Shelley Long's pregnancy for a little bit longer. So they had filmed these episodes out of order. They'd filmed a lot of the ending scenes where Diane is going to be in Europe. They filmed a lot of those ahead of time before her pregnancy was showing. And it felt like the writers were just told, look, you need to come up with an excuse to hide Shelley for a full episode. So that's what they did. The heat is not working in the bar. They can't figure out how to fix it. There's some blockage in the grates. And Diane is giving them grief for leaning on Sam to fix it. Why can't any of you do it? Which is an excuse to get Diane to be the skinniest one to crawl in the pipes. And then she's trapped on the floor for the rest of the episode. And it's just very weird and awkward. And it leads to jokes about her getting kissed against her will. It's very, very weird. And honestly, that's the whole storyline, is the heat doesn't work and we need to hide Diane. That's the storyline. There's no consequence. There's no stakes. That is what it is. The other storyline, Cliff comes in feeling bad. He's feeling ill. And Norm offers to finish his route for him. It's just a few letters. And even as a child, I was sitting there going, you can't do that. Like, someone else can't deliver the mail. That's a crime. And which is one of my big problems with this episode, is there's no world where Cliff would have thought, and I know they were playing it up and he was being a big baby and needed other people to help him. There's still no world where Cliff knows he can't drink alcohol on duty, but thinks that it's going to be okay for Norm to deliver these letters. And by the way, I mean, he's delivering them in Boston. Some of these are going to be apartment buildings that need the special keys that you can get in and actually access the mailboxes. So Norm couldn't have delivered most of these letters. It's just, it bothers me because it is an intellectually, I'm sorry, writers, you're so talented, and I don't mean to shit on you right now, but it was kind of an intellectually lazy episode where you were just trying to find a conflict between Norm and Cliff. So Norm offers to deliver these letters. He does. Policeman picks him up. And even somehow when the cop comes in and says, mail fraud, no, I told him to. Cliff is still thought, what? There's a problem with someone else delivering the mail? What? And then when he realizes he's going to get fired because he let someone else deliver the mail, he pretends that Norm is actually just a mailman junkie and took the letters from him and was committing a crime. And then there's a moral quandary about, should I acknowledge it? Should I not acknowledge it? Which even for Cliff, being the weasel that he is, it seems a little out of character that Cliff would actually let Norm be in jail so that he made sure he did not get in trouble with the post office. It felt like a bridge too far. And finally he admits it. Norm comes back and is furious. And then the peace offering is Cliff taking off his pants and having to clap like a seal in front of the bar. And then the obligatory over-the-top Boston accent extra comes in and says, we should leave. There's going to be a cover charge. And leaves.
Shut
and
it.
It's, this episode had everything. It had the plots that go nowhere. It had multiple extras doing bad Boston accents because no one can speak like a human being if you're not a part of the titled cast in Cheers. There were some good jokes. It's there. That's the episode. Also, sad to report, we have 2 more episodes with Coach after this. Coach Nick Colasanto died of a heart attack 5 days after this episode aired. So, yeah, he is very frail looking in this episode. We've only got a couple more episodes that he does anything in. And you know what? It's starting to show a little bit in the series that they can't lean on Nick Colasanto anymore, and they're having to rewrite a bit. I'm also missing Frasier. He has not been around for a little bit. And realizing we need some more of Frasier. So there's a lot of issues in this episode. Yeah. Your thoughts? None of us are huge fans, right?
No, I will say, if I was somebody who knew that both Diane and Carla are pregnant, or that Shelley Long and Rhea Perlman are pregnant, I find it kind of fun the lengths that this episode goes to keep us from realizing that, especially Shelley Long is showing. I find that actually kind of charming and kind of reminds me of later Cheers when the line between these actors and their characters becomes a little blurry, and you can just kind of see these guys rolling up and just kind of reading the lines a little bit. they become so self-identified with the characters. It almost takes on like a kind of fun, playful kind of meta energy. Like there's some questionable stuff within it, but I will say, like, I did find that kind of like charming. The idea that, like, okay, one of our performers we need to like hide her body. What interesting ways can we find to do that? And I thought that was kind of cool. It made me laugh.
It made you wonder what other ideas got pitched. Where it's like, all right, is this the softball episode where Diane has to be the catcher? She's the umpire with the big pad in front of her. Like, you wonder what other ideas came about.
And I thought like periodically, I think one of my favorite recurring gags in the episode was like when Diane would speak from the grate and nobody would know where the voice was coming from.
Yeah,
like that
Senior
always.
Wences joke was kind of fun.
That made, I mean, and I'm really curious to know what Tookie thought of the Senior Wences reference, because I feel like Mike and I might be the youngest people on Earth who might still have a chance of recognizing who Senior Wences was.
That might have gone completely over my head. Yeah. Senior what? I think I missed that one. Yeah. Oh, that was one of my 80s moments. That was one of my moments because I was like, what is a sarai? I feel like I've heard that in shows, but I don't know what the...
Dave, would you like to tackle Senior Wences, or should I?
I can give it as best I can.
Okay.
I remember Senior Wences being an entertainer, sort of a puppeteer, who had I think a number of characters, but would often just kind of like use his hand as like put like a couple of eyeballs above this as the mouth, and they would have little conversations, and they would frequently end with "Sarai, sarai."
Okay.
Yeah,
I've definitely heard that reference. I never knew the source of it, but I noted it as a moment. I was like, "Meh."
Yeah.
So.
I think he lives in this sort of like Charo sphere as like a 70s Tonight Show guest.
Yeah.
Who was sort of famous on some level for being famous.
Okay.
Yeah. It's funny. Yeah. In the 70s, and then there was a long break, and then social media happened, where there were careers of just sort of being a celebrity that popped up and stuff.
Okay.
Like you were just famous for being famous. Yeah, it's a good way to put it. Charo was very much that. Dr. Joyce Brothers was kind of that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
No, my grandmother and some of my great uncles were fans of Latin shenanigans on Sábado Gigante. And every now and then, so hosts would pop up on different shows or like guests and hosts and stuff, and musical acts would pop up like in cross-universe instances of Sábado Gigante megastars venturing off from that universe. And every now and then, I think Charo was somewhat involved. And I only ever associated Coochie Coochie with her for years.
Yeah. We might even be doing an unkindness to Charo.
Charo's mad talented. She's like a legit flamenco musician.
And did a lot of things other than just sort of be famous, but just not in the United States. Charles Nelson Riley might be a better comp.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like, you're famous, but I can't name anything you did that was good. I remember you in Cannonball Run 2.
Wait, there was a sequel?
Oh, yeah. There's a reboot that needs to happen.
Oy.
Just a Cannonball Run is such an easy concept. And just get a bunch of famous people who want to hang out for a little while together. Like, that movie is just waiting to happen. Seth Rogen in a weed-filled car. George Clooney insisting on racing only electric and having to charge up. Like, there's a movie there. For someone, Netflix could underwrite this. And I watched that the minute it premiered. The new Cannonball Run.
Yeah, I'd be in on that.
Okay.
Yeah, it's right there. I don't know what they're waiting for. And clearly, like that Frank Sinatra part where he just kind of comes out of nowhere and is the fastest one, is like at the end of the movie, suddenly there's one car that's like destroying everybody and they win, and it's Beyonce and Jay-Z. Like that's the end. That's the climax, right?
You don't even need to write. You just make a list of beats and then you film it.
That's the movie. It's right there. Anyway,
yes, I'm not mad.
It's like Hollywood doesn't even listen to me. All right, let's get through some categories here. Your jokes of the week. Tookie, what was your joke of the week?
Oh boy. Okay, so lot more vibes than jokes this episode. But I think the moment that at least delighted me, I didn't ha-ha throughout this episode, but what delighted me is Cliff saying, "Oh, let's have a vote, but make sure that it's anonymous." And Coach says, "Everybody in favor of Cliff going, raise your hands." Everybody raised their hands, and Coach says, "It's anonymous."
Perfect Chico Marx
Fabulous.
setup.
Dave, what was your joke of the week?
I laughed out loud at the Norm opening line. What would you say to a beer normie? Daddy loves you.
My favorite joke of the week, not a joke per se. It was when Norm came back in after getting arrested, and I loved the run around the room. But
it was great.
The moment where Diane's disembodied voice comes out and Norm is looking around for her like it's a conscience. I love the way George Wendt played that moment. I thought that was very, very fun.
I thought this was a really good George Wendt episode.
He's a talented guy.
He's really good in this episode, and like that chase I think is like awesome, and I really bought Norm's anger, being held. Like I think so often like talk about like a guy who's been kind of identified with that character. Like it was interesting. I really felt like we were seeing a different side of Norm, and I bought it, and it was good. I thought that was like kind of like a good like. It was a nice little takeaway from a kind of forgettable episode.
Mm-hmm. All right, your 80s moment. I've already done rhino poaching. Dave, what was your 80s moment of the week?
I'm gonna go. I really liked. Just as a side note, I really liked Bambi's performance. I thought she was really. I thought Debbie Richter did an amazing job, kind of wringing a bunch of laughs out of a really cliched role. Like she got that last one. This was my runner-up for joke of the week. Was Bambi? Was what did Sam say? Like she's working on a project with the boys and at BU, and she says, "Well, in a sense."
Yeah.
She was. I loved her like self-awareness, but I'm gonna go with her ski outfit, specifically her ski pants. In the 80s and then moving to the 90s, especially form-fitting clothing was not the norm, aside from like sort of fashion jeans. I will say, like, my young eyes always like, whenever I saw like somebody wearing like those kind of like ski pants, I'd be like, wow, that's clearly somebody who is sexy, even though those pants are probably incredibly thick.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I guess ski pants as a signifier of like sexy bodies maybe is my 80s moment.
Good. Did we go to college at the worst possible time, Dave?
It was the sweater and sweatpants.
Gigantic hiding clothes. Sex was terrifying. Drugs were evil. It was just starting to get super expensive. Like it really was just a brutal, brutal time to be in college.
Yeah, if we had been born a few years later, we could have picked up on like the rave culture, and we would have had we would have been dancing all night to EDM. It would have been we probably would have much more interesting stories other than we played Sega baseball for 3 years.
Yeah, best time to go to college, late 70s, I think.
Ooh.
I think because still very cheap. Like you're still basically paying for it with your part-time job. There's no more war, so no one's judging you for being in college. Like Vietnam's over. You have the pill, which I'm sorry had to enhance the college experience quite a bit. You've got a ton of great music going on. I feel like that's just this tremendous time to be in college. I'm willing to hear counter arguments. Like I get that the 60s were there, but I feel like in the 60s there was a lot of pressure to do something and make a change and be a part of a movement. And in the 70s, it was really just whose dorm room are we listening to Led Zeppelin in tonight? Like no one was trying to change the world in the late 70s. So just in terms of being at college, more fun.
Maybe. I think it was still. I think to an extent there still was a a divide in terms of who still had access to college. But if
Mm-hmm.
you had that access, definitely cheaper.
Mm-hmm.
The job market, you know, opened up even wider to you if you had just a bachelor's, but now you need a PhD for entry level work
Yeah.
these days, which is
Yeah.
crazy. Um,
Yeah. Late 70s, there was a real confidence that once you had a 4-year degree, you were set.
mhm,
You're
mhm,
all set, my friend.
mhm. Yeah.
Yeah, I may make a case for like the late '90s, early 2000s, bubble economy,
Mm-hmm.
with no knowledge of what's coming. That seems like that might have been at the very least an enjoyable time to go to school.
I may look at it differently because there was an opportunity for us to make tons of money, and we made none of it. Made not a dime.
Damn.
Like there was so the opportunity in multiple ways to be like, all right, I'm going to get Yahoo stock. I'm going to invest in this. I'm just going to get a job at one of these places that is apparently paying $80,000 a year to people with theater degrees to sit in front of a computer and decide what the web page should look like. All of that was there to buy an affordable 3-family in Boston and be a millionaire now. Like all of that was available to us, and I did none of it.
Damn.
Yeah.
I'm
Yep.
sad for you.
And at the very least, I will say this: I actually wanted to buy real estate in Boston and Cambridge, and got talked out of it multiple times.
Who did that
Ooh.
to you?
Family members, like I remember saying, like I could get a, I can get a no money down loan on this. Like, yeah, but you know what? If you miss
Oh,
it, you'll be screwed. Without ever stopping to think, like, yeah, but if I lose my job and I can't pay rent, I'm screwed too. At least here, I'm screwed with an asset.
yeah. Oh,
Yeah, yeah, and then,
oh my God.
romantic partners decided that was not a great idea.
Oh,
Yeah, so I did not.
oh,
Yeah.
oh, I'm,
Yeah, but I remember when I was first looking for apartments in the city. Like at first, before I went on tour, and I was looking at apartments and thinking, like, if I could find like a 3-family and live in the basement and rent out the other ones, I'd basically be living for free. I was
yeah.
like, yeah, but you got to be ready. What happens if the furnace goes? That's on you. So yeah,
Ugh.
yep. Yep.
I'm upset for you.
I'm upset for me too. Follow your heart, late 90s, Mike D. Follow your heart.
I think
that-
Don't go to Montana.
Let that be a lesson to you, internet viewers. Follow your heart. Where's it taking you? Just don't listen to your family.
Nope.
Listen to us.
Yeah. Trust us. All
We've
right.
watched
Sorry.
Cheers.
Sorry, it took you your 80s moment.
okay. So Sarai was on the list.
Yep.
Homegirl ski outfit was definitely on the list.
Mm-hmm.
A car wash announcement in the mail.
Mm.
That felt very of a time.
Mm-hmm.
A fraternity stunt in general at
I
BU.
wish that was 80s, but yeah.
It just feels like of a time, because that's far less tolerated this day. A prank being pants around the ankles and straws up your nose, barking like an embarrassment prank, hazing of some sort, also feels of a time, of a nugget of time.
I can say from personal experience that still occurred in the 90s, but go
Yeah,
for it.
yeah. No, but like
Yep.
within that cluster of time. And then what really leaped out at me is not just this happening, because I know this wasn't something that only happened in the 80s. This is decades past. But in reference to the person's age and this happening to them, when Diane is when Carla almost forces Diane into a non-consensual kiss, she
Yeah.
reassures her that the old man got his shots in the army.
Mm.
So an old man getting his shots,
Mm.
getting vaccinated via the army.
Just old men reliably getting vaccinated right now feels of a time. Mm.
Yeah.
All right. Tookie, how white was this week's episode?
Comparatively white, but good effort. I really think that they are trying with these extras. No one had lines, but I noticed some folks. And so in the cold open, you had a black man who was heading to the pool room. He was wearing a burgundy blazer. And it was quick. It was quick, and it had like those when a blazer has like the patches that don't quite match.
Oh
Yeah. So it was like a burgundy blazer with like tan suede patches. I'm like stylish. Okay, first scene. There was a black man in a coat who was passing behind Carla and Norm. A black woman who passed by Diane, and she had kind of a fro happening. A black man by the fire exit behind, or the fire extinguisher rather, behind Norm. Presumably Latino man by Sam's office door, and a black woman in a gray coat. No, I'm sorry. That was in the second scene. I miswrote that line. Second scene, there was a black man in green at a table wearing a scally cap, and they kept having him enter and exit for some reason at the bar. It was super weird. He was wearing green and like a scally cap. And then, there was a black man behind Diane with a red scarf who eventually moves to stand by the jukebox and talk to some friends. And there was a Latina woman with like a mushroom cut, which was very, very chic at the time, who was sitting behind where Coach was at the bar. And then in the scene after that, and sort of scene 3.5, it's a repeat of the same tableau. So we're still in the same moment in the bar, just later in the day. There was a Latina woman with curly hair at the front of the bar, a black man in a gray coat who was staring at Sam when he went and ducked into the vent, just kind of giving him looks like, what are you doing, sticking your head in there? And then the same guy, I kind of count him as a bonus character with the green and the scally cap, who kept entering and exiting the bar. So in total, there were 10 bonus for the extra walking scenes for the man in the green with the scally cap. So 10, 11, if you count that.
There was the Latino woman? Was she the one that gave John Ratzenberger like the serious shade when he? Yeah, that was my favorite extra moment in the whole episode, when he was refusing to call off the police, and she just daggers at him.
Yes.
Very, very good.
Very much.
All right, Sam creepy quotient.
He was kind of nerfed in this episode, yeah. Other than
what does nerfed mean?
Like, he just wasn't.
You young person, what is this nerfing you young people are doing?
Like, how do I explain it?
This is my nerf.
well. No, but
when you have an 8-year-old, you've got Nerf props ready to go at any time.
Oh, I'm so jealous. My parents never got me Nerf guns or Legos.
Oh no, that's all we have in our house.
I know.
No Legos?
No Legos. I was dying for a Mr. Potato Head. Never got one.
Oh.
Wow.
I know.
More violin, Tookie. More violin.
More violin, less Potato Head. And I'm like, do you understand that this is my kindred spirit, Mr. Potato Head? But that's neither here nor there. No, Sam, he's never not gonna creep. But this was a 3 for me. But like, he's, anytime anybody gets nerfed, it's like neutralized. It's like I
gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was a fairly low creepy quotient, simply because Bambi was very happy. It seemed like Sam had been quite attentive to her needs. They had a good weekend. Yeah. So yeah. And then there was there was some creepiness with Diane on the floor, but for Sam, overall, not terrible.
The creepiness in my mind goes to the writers for how they did Diane, in terms of like sticking her in the vent is the equivalent of the movie trope of a woman to refrigerator.
Oh no, I disagree with that. I thought that was like women in refrigerators is a terrible trope, and I do know what you're talking about, and I completely agree with that being a terrible thing. This felt like, I think Shelley Long was super happy this week to be like, look, my feet are sore, my back is hurting, and they're like, listen, we wrote a way where we're going to build this little floor around you. You're just going to sit down, and we're going to film it like you're actually in the floor, and you don't even have to stand up. You're only standing up for a quarter of this episode. I feel like this is a solid on Shelley this week, and she was probably pretty happy about it. I could be wrong.
Mike, you
But
seem.
having experienced, very close up the last few months of labor,
Oh,
I feel like anything that got Shelley Long off of her feet and getting to be mellow for a little bit, she was probably pretty psyched about.
I did appreciate in that sense too, like the writers going out of their way to make sure that Diane was saying, "I'm not cold, I'm not hungry, I just want to get out. But otherwise, I'm fine lying here in this vent.
Yeah.
I'm around my friends."
Yeah. But yeah, now when you do see, Spider-Man, there's an interesting, I would like to have the women in refrigerators conversation though, because I absolutely love the movie, but yeah, that is something, and it's tough to bring the Marvel universe or any comic book universe into now without that becoming a part of it, just because it's there. But yeah, that would be an interesting conversation to have.
Oh, I'm curious.
All right. So yeah, are we ready to put this one to bed? I feel like I want to say this about this episode. This is almost an episode that I think would have been better in season 7.
ooh.
If only because they were really on top of writing a lot of jokes. So episodes that didn't further the storyline didn't stick out quite so much, simply because it was like joke bombing. Just joke, 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 joke. And that's not really in this one. It's not what they're doing. There are definitely some jokes in here and there are funny moments, but it sticks out more when you've got an episode that doesn't really move anybody along.
Yeah, I completely it felt like late Cheers to me, but without the sort of the quality of like of joke writing. It's inessential, but also pretty much harmless.
Yeah. It's very much a neutered episode.
Yeah.
In terms
It's
of
nerfed.
plot. Yes.
It's nerfed.
Yeah. Who wrote
This
this?
shit's nerfed.
Is that your new favorite thing?
Probably.
Have I corrupted you?
I mean, we're going to have to see. There are things that you think are going to become your favorite thing and a little catchphrase in your personal life and then don't take hold. Right now, it's feeling like something that's going to be making some appearances.
Okay. I like it.
So we'll see what the future holds for Nerfed.
I'm just glad anything's going to replace Let's Go Brandon for you, Mike.
Oh my God. Have you been to North Attleboro, Foxborough area recently?
I have not.
There is a Let's Go Brandon store.
Oh God.
Please.
Yeah.
Please. Please. That's the most.
Everyone who thinks that we're just a completely blue state. It's like,
Yeah. No, but like, I don't even like the dude, right? But if you don't like the dude, say it with your chest. This code is geek sauce P word farts. I'm trying to keep it clean for Christmas. But
it's funny. In that same area, there was a guy. There's a part of me that feels that way, but there was also a guy in a big pickup truck with an F Biden, but not censored, flag on the back of his truck. And my son saw it. It was like, huh. And I was like, you know what? Maybe Let's Go Brandon. If you're feeling this, is not the worst thing to have on a T-shirt or flag. There's a part of me that wants to call you just a great big wimp for not saying it and needing coding, but yeah, I don't know. It's all bad.
It's all bad, but
all bad.
I'm very much say it with your chest. F that guy. If you don't like somebody, say it. So
I did like though. Did you see the clip of Kamala on Charlemagne the God?
No, I didn't.
She pushes back hard. Oh, you need to find that clip because he starts being like, "So I don't know. I mean, should we start calling him President Mansion? I mean, is he in charge?" Yeah, and Kamala's like, "No, it is President Joe Biden, and I am Vice President Kamala Harris." And to say that disrespects everything we've accomplished. And she starts listing accomplishments, and Charlemagne's like, "Oh shit!" Like you could just kind of see him realize, like, "Oh, sorry." But at the end, he also says, like, "That's what I've been wanting to see for a long time." And there's a part of me going, "Yeah, me too." Me too. Like, I want Kamala out in front a little bit more going, "Hey, look at all this."
She scares the bejesus out of me, but I essentially voted for her.
But you know what? Like, she scares me in the right way. She scares me in the way that most of the people who've made a positive change in my life frightened me a little bit. I'm like, I don't want that person upset with me or disappointed in me.
because
and
to
there are
jail.
times where I'm just going to make the right choice because of that.
No, I just, it's like a newfound fear of it's like a newfound fear of God in a sense where it's like it's not, you're not going to get smote, but you'll get sent to jail.
Yeah. All right. Time to wrap this up. We got anything to plug this week other than Christmas?
Nothing this week.
All right. We got Christmas happening, everybody. We've got plans next week that we were going to be missing this show for that probably aren't going to happen with New York getting shut down. So we'll see. But we are going to be off for next week, celebrating the holidays with our families. So we will be back 2 weeks from today with another delightful episode. For Dave, for Tookie, I am Mike. For goodness sakes, get boosted. Stay safe out there, everybody. Have a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. And we'll see you in 22. Bye.